Hello, I'm 40k Renegade and today we're going to be talking about Havoks and Obliterators. Let's start out with Obliterators since they're everybody's favourite. Obliterators have a 2+ save and a 5+ invulnerable save. They also carry a number of weapons which make them very versatile, but they can only fire each weapon once every other turn. So the weapons they can carry are assault cannon, heavy flamer, laser cannon, multi-melter plasma cannon, twin-linked plasma gun, twin-linked melter gun, twin-linked flamer. Now, every obliterator in the unit has to fire the same weapon each turn. You can't fire different weapons off, but you can choose different weapons each turn. So now, because they can only fire, say, a laser cannon once, and they've got to wait a turn before they can fire it again, it limits what they can do. Every other turn they can fire the same weapon twice, basically. However, they're also demons, so they can deep strike in. You can deep strike them into the enemy side, flame the hell out of everything in sight. Very, very good for that. And because they're a 2+ save, they're what I call bullet magnets. Now, a Terminator might not have the firepower to earn its points back in shooting usually, but an Obliterator does. A Terminator can usually be ignored. They're just a big, expensive target, and that's it. Obliterators can't be, because Obliterators have got the kind of firepower and weaponry needed to really cause some damage. So, as a result, Obliterators can be used in a really aggressive manner. You can stick them up front. For instance, I've used a plasma gun or a plasma cannon before today. Get up close, blast mark, and bang, AP2. On top of assault marines, wiped them all out, charging with the power glove, pulverised them, walked away with my Obliterator. This was after deviating in front of a Vindicator, but that's a different story. Anyway, this was all from deep strike, wait a turn, move, that kind of thing. Now, if you're doing that with against orcs, you'd lose the lot. Because a horde army usually has a lot of attacks, and the one thing you use to wipe out Terminators or Obliterators is a lot of attacks. That's their weak point. Also, they're not very good at taking out massive amounts of troops, because they can only use their flamer once, and then they've got to pick a different weapon. It's that kind of thing. Plus, if you're running one squad of Obliterators with 3 men in it, or you've got them 1 man per squad, you're only going to get 3 shots. And then you've got to change your weapon every turn as well. So it limits them. They're good against tanks, they're good against Terminators, Space Marines, stuff that isn't a horde army, they're pretty good against. But when it comes to hordes, they're dead if they face an Orc Boys mob, basically. They don't stand much of a chance. The Orcs will rip them a new one. This is where Havoks come in. Havoks don't have that limitation, but they don't deep strike and they don't have the weapon versatility in the game. You've got to pick their load out beforehand. Now, when you buy Havoks, you buy them with an autocannon, missile launcher, laser cannon and a heavy bolter on a resin kit. Now, that's not a very useful combination. I mean, who would ever field a squad with that kind of variety of weapons on? So what you've got to do to make your Havoks effective is when you buy your Space Marines, you put your heavy bolters to one side. Now, if you buy a Havok kit first and put that to one side, and you think, right, I'm going to make a squad of Havoks with heavy bolters, or even flamers if you want, right? So there's heavy bolters. All the other weapons become available for your tactical squads. So if you make a 10-man tactical squad, thinking if I field it as 5, it'll have a melter gun or a flamer. I field it at 10, it'll have a melter gun and a, say, auto cannon, right? Then you can make your tactical stuff a little bit more juicy at the same time. But you put the heavy bolter to one side and save it for your Havoks. When you've got 4 squads, you'll have 4 heavy bolters, but you only need 3, remember, because you get 1 with the Havoks, right? So when you've got 4 heavy bolters, you put them on your Havok squad. And that Havoc squad can now fire 12 shots every single turn, which is excellent against horde armies. You can't deep strike them in, but the 36-inch range means they'll hit a lot of stuff. You'll be able to use them against, you'll be able to outrange the Tower, for instance. The Tower with all their abilities would have to just sit there and get blasted to oblivion by your Obliterators, Havoks. Right? So your Havoks are pretty good when you equip them that way. If you do the same thing with Havoks with, say, laser cannon, they can fire their laser cannon, 4 laser cannon every single turn. So you'd be looking at about 155 points or something like that. right, for a Havoc squad with 4 laser cannon. You try doing the same thing with Obliterators, it would cost you 210 points for free, and they'd only be able to fire the laser cannon once every other turn. See, so firepower alone, Obliterators aren't as reliable in that sense as Havocs, and Havocs are a lot more cheaper. You just can't be so bold with them because they only get a 3+ save and they have no invulnerable. Now, if you actually worked out the cost of, say, taking one of the Traitor Legion detachments, right? So say we're going to go for a Warp Smith and 3 squads of Obliterators, and we're going to take a squad of 3 Obliterators for one of the squads, and we're going to take 2 single Obliterators for the rest. Now, if we just find it, I think it's the Cult of Destruction. Let's have a look. This is some of the formations in the Traitor Legion book and the Traitors Hate book are a bit pricey to field, but most of them, the decent ones, add up to just under 500 points. Now, if we do this one, right, it'll come to about 410, right? It's the Cult of Destruction. Right? We take 1 Warp Smith and 3 to 5 units of Obliterators or Mutilators. So we'll take 2 single Obliterators and 1 squad of 3. The Warp Smith will keep near the free Obliterator squad, and that means they can fire twice every single turn. So suddenly they can lay down quite a bit of firepower. But because Obliterators are kind of like more heavy destruction, it'd be better against tanks, that strategy. Plus 450 points ish, right, would be the equivalent of 4 squads of Havocs. Now 4 squads of Havocs could lay down, with heavy bolters, could lay down 48 shots a turn. 48 shots a turn. Can you imagine what you could do with 48 heavy bolter shots every single turn? See, the more units you add, right, to this equation, the better Havocs look. Remember, that's also it depends on the weapons, obviously. If you were to give them laser cannon, it would obviously be more like 3 squads of Havocs. That'd be 12 laser cannon a turn, because the more expensive the unit, the less effective Havocs become. At least I found. So, but it's still 12 laser cannon a turn as opposed to 5. Right, so even then it's quite deadly. So Havocs are very, very deadly when taken in numbers and in an organised way. They're not very effective when you take them in as they come in the kits from Games Workshop, where the weapons are mixed up. So if you're going to do it, you might want to buy 2 squads of Havocs, and then just do 2 and 2. 2 laser cannon, 2 heavy bolter, 2 auto cannon, and 2 missile launchers, and do them in squads like that, so they can at least have 2 of them firing off at the same unit all the time. But generally speaking, though, the 2 break down quite simply into, are they good against hordes or not? Now, the thing about Obliterators is, when you deep strike them into anything, they can fire immediately. And that's the trick. If you deep strike them in, remember they're quite tough and the bullet magnets, so they can take a bit of damage. Provided you're not deep striking them into a horde, you're alright. Deep strike them in, they can fire the turn they arrive. 3 of them arriving inside someone's deployment area could really make a meal of their best troops. Imagine a couple of assault cannons at point blank range, or a flamer or something like that. It's a very effective strategy. You don't get that with Havocs. So there are differences and there are limitations. And I find it always best when you're buying a unit to have a strategy in mind for the unit when you buy it. So when you look at the unit on the table, you know the strategy that goes with that unit automatically. You're not using that unit out of context. You're using it exactly in the context it's designed to be used in, so it does the maximum amount of damage. And you only use it out of context when it's got no more targets to shoot at, and you're just using, by that time you're using it as bonus shots basically. Anyway, if you've got any questions or whatever, ask them below. Got any corrections, ideas of your own, or favourite formations you like, post them below. We'll have a read and I'll answer them in a future blog. I'll chat to you later.